Welcome back to another juicy episode of the Spiritual Psychologist. I'm Dr. Radhika. This is gorgeous Luna. She's a good baba, aren't you? We are still in eclipse season, and I am talking in this episode about choosing a new conscious timeline. So we have been going through a collective purge, a liberation, a release. All the things are coming up most likely around old patterns, beliefs, things that are from a past version of you. It may be the same old crap that's coming up again and again. And the reason it's coming up is because it needs to be seen. If you want to dive deeper into this, check out my last episode on this, and you will hear what I have to say on that. But as we are reaching this point towards the end of eclipse season, it is actually time to be making these conscious decisions, these conscious choices that catapult us into a new timeline, a new way that takes us actually into greater responsibility of what it is that we are creating in our lives. We can be sitting, I guess, in that part that can feel so tempting, right? Which is continuing to sit in the old timelines again and again, looping in them, because there is something about those old ways of being that actually keeps us in a sense of safety. Because those old timelines, those old beliefs, those old ways of doing things feel comfortable. They feel, even if they don't feel necessarily good in our body, they feel familiar. So we get to disrupt that pattern now. We get to choose a new liberated way. So in this episode, I am diving into how it is that we can create a new timeline so that we are creating a life that feels deeply serving of our needs, of the collective needs, and that we are shifting and creating the new. You may also find at this time that you are sitting in this space of void where things are still bubbling, things are still coming up. You're feeling like you're in this in-between no man's land. If that's the case, trust that process. Trust the process that you are in. You don't have to have answers. You don't have to have solutions. You get to ride the wave of what is coming up for you, knowing that the pathway will clear and things will come into deeper clarity. So how is it that we can choose this new conscious timeline? It sounds so fancy, right? And actually it is, I believe, about taking radical responsibility over what persists, what you are choosing, and this may sound triggering, but what you are choosing to allow and keep in your life. What is it that is being maintained that needs to be disrupted? What patterns are you allowing? Maybe it's subtle layers of abuse, or maybe it is actual bigger layers of abuse that are so obvious and so clear, and yet you're still continuing in the pattern of allowing it. What needs to be shaken up? Is it something in your business? Is something out of alignment? You're continuing to say yes to the thing because you don't want to have to deal with the uncomfortable reality of shaking shit up, right? Shaking things up because it feels uncomfortable, because it throws you into the unknown, which feels unsafe in your body, right? Have those honest conversations with yourself. We cannot create a new pathway whilst maintaining the things that don't serve us. Let me give you an example here. If you want to create the reality of, I want to have a reality where I have financial freedom, right? If you want to create that reality, but you have no concept of where your money is going ever, right? You're looping back into the same cycles of not having enough money to pay your tax, or not having enough money to do the things that you want to do. And you're continuing to loop into that, right? But you want to create this reality of financial freedom. What is the radical piece there? If you are, maybe you need to take the radical responsibility of setting up a pension. Maybe you need to set up a decision to actually sit down and look at your finances. We do this in the Academy of Healing in the final module, which is just so freaking juicy. What is it that you actually need to take responsibility for and create a shift with? Are you spending the whole time complaining about, your business not coming into reality, not stepping into business that you desire, where you're receiving the soul aligned clients, where you're doing what you love, but you are staying in the same situation that is meaning that you are constantly burnt out and you don't have time to create the business of your dreams, right? That is, as harsh as it is to hear, it's your responsibility to be truthful and honest to yourself in order to disrupt and break the cycle. Are you blaming your partner for how they are showing up and not taking any responsibility for how you're showing up or what you're allowing? These are the questions, and they can feel so sticky. And I'm also sharing this from a place of a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, say, for example, with the wealth, right? I'm speaking to myself as well there. So there is this piece around, and the reason I can speak into it is because I don't feel shame around it. I just know that there's certain pieces I need to step up with. And when we decide that, when we decide and we choose and we take that radical responsibility, what comes from that is liberation. What comes from that is freedom. Because if we're responsible, we get to create the change. So what is it that needs to be really kind of owned by yourself? Where do you need to stop blaming? And where do you need to start taking the responsibility? And responsibility can feel like a heavy word, but actually it is such an empowering word to me. It's like whatever I stop blaming other people for and own in myself as something that I am allowing into my life, that's like the click moment where everything starts to shift. And it's so exciting when you go through that clear up process, and it can feel tricky, it can feel sticky and messy, but when you do it, that's when you start shifting into the identity of the person that you are becoming. Because that's what this journey is actually about, right? It's like, if you're wanting the dream business, if you're wanting financial freedom, if you're wanting the healthy, juicy relationships, what you are actually looking for is a feeling. When you take radical responsibility, you're not waiting for the feeling, you're creating it in your body right now in this moment. That moment when you decide, okay, actually, I'm not creating the dream business because I'm not allowing any space for it. In that moment, you are deciding to create freedom. When you decide and you look at and take responsibility over your finances and where money is either being held so freaking tightly or where you are just letting it like flow everywhere without keeping any of it, right? That is the moment when something clicks, and there is that feeling of the freedom of I am taking responsibility, I am taking ownership, I am taking control over the situation. The moment where you have the uncomfortable conversation with somebody that you love, or somebody that you don't necessarily love and that you don't necessarily want in your life. That's a whole other thing, right, as well. The moment you say no to that energy and put boundaries in place, or the moment where you have the uncomfortable conversation about something, is the moment where, as hard as it may be, you are stepping into the version of yourself that is able to do that, that is building the capacity to do that, that is building the capacity to be in that freedom of living in expression, truth, and living in the embodied vision that you desire to create. So as we come into the end of this eclipse portal, what are the new patterns that you are creating? What are the uncomfortable conversations that you need to have with yourself first and foremost? That is the work that you are here to do at this time. Lean into it. Let me know what lands, what deep truths land for you in your body from hearing this message today. And if you're wanting to go deeper, we are going to go on a whole week journey of deepening into all of this, deepening into your vision in your body, what is here, what your mission is, what your purpose is, what you want to create with life on the expansion retreat. We are going into a deep process of the freedom expansion method, the method I created, my signature methodology that I bring into all of my containers of support. We're going to be doing it in person in Greece, in Lefkada, in the most beautiful surroundings, surrounded by gorgeous mountains, the elements. We're going to be working with our allies. We're going to be working with creating those mindset shifts. We're going to be working somatically, bringing in sensual embodied movement as well. It's going to be such a powerful, potent week. I hope you can join us. I'm coming to the end of my offer currently, where you could get to bring a friend and receive £500 off of your place. So if you know that you are meant to be there, drop me a message on social media. Find me on Instagram at the spiritual_psychologist. Let's have a conversation and start the journey together. So much love to you. I'd love to hear what landed for you in this episode. Don't forget to subscribe for the upcoming episodes that are coming, flowing through. So much love to you.